Hey everyone, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brittany. I'm a health coach and nutritionist, and my channel is all about helping you to create delicious low FODMAP meals to improve your digestive health. If you're into it, go ahead and subscribe. We'll be putting out a new video each week. Today, we're going to be doing a video on how to prepare summer vegetables. I think a lot of people think they don't like vegetables when they actually just don't know how to work with them. And they've probably had a bad experience with vegetables. They've either been fed frozen or canned vegetables as kids, or maybe their moms didn't cook them great, like they were always mushy. So we're gonna be cooking up 4 dishes today. We're gonna be doing a summer succotash, cucumber yogurt salad, green beans, and summer squash and zucchini. One of the best things I think is that vegetables have so much of their own great flavor that you really don't have to do much to them. I think the trickiest thing is learning how much to salt them. And a lot of people can get really shy with the salt. But the salt is what's going to help bring out those flavors. And it's actually going to help you better absorb those nutrients as well. All right, so let's start with our cucumber yogurt salad. I'm gonna peel this cucumber because they coat them in wax at the store, and I really don't like to eat that. So I'm just gonna peel this really quick. You can also use the tiny little Persian cucumbers in this recipe. I typically don't peel those ones. Okay, so we're just gonna cut the ends off, and then we're gonna cut it where it bends. That's gonna help us to get straighter cuts. Okay, so we've halved it, and then we've halved it again lengthwise. This is the cut that I generally use for most of my vegetables. You can make these chunks as big or as little as you like. Okay, next we're gonna be chopping up our dill. Okay, so here we have about a 1/4 cup of dill. Actually, it's probably more like 2 tablespoons. Okay, we're gonna throw that in with our cucumbers. Okay, next we're going to add a couple tablespoons of mayonnaise. This is what's going to make this recipe low FODMAP. Typically this is made with yogurt, but yogurt can have lactose in it, which is a FODMAP. You can use regular olive oil, but I'm gonna use garlic oil for a little bit of extra flavor. About a tablespoon of that. And we're just gonna squeeze in some lemon juice. This is a big lemon. That lemon was really juicy, so I think we're only gonna need half of it. Let's give it a stir. Okay, and now we'll finish it with some salt and pepper. We're gonna give it a good amount of pepper and just a tiny bit of salt because there's already salt in the mayonnaise. Give it one final stir. And here we go. Perfect for a hot summer day, and so quick and easy. Okay, let's move on to our green beans. Okay, so I have about a pound of green beans here, and I'm just going to snap off these ends, which does take some time, but it's worth it. You don't need to be super precise with this. And I've also seen green beans served with the ends still on, so I don't know if like they're not edible or whatever, but this is how my grandma always did it. This is probably the most labor-intensive thing that we're doing here today, but if you have kids, you can totally put them to work, snapping green beans. For the neck of this crookneck squash, I'm actually going to keep the pieces a little bit bigger so they all cook at the same rate and these ones don't get mushy. I really like zucchini because they have sort of like an oniony flavor and smell to them, which is really nice when you can't have onions. Okay, I have a bell pepper here that we're going to be throwing into our succotash. And I don't want to put too much bell pepper because it can have a very strong flavor. So I'm only going to cut half of it. I like to cut out this rib part. It can be a bit bitter. It's not going to hurt you though, so don't worry if you miss some. Here we have some parsley. While not technically vegetables, Herbs are another great part of the summer. I love using fresh herbs in my cooking. And lastly, we have some green onions. Okay, now last we are going to do our corn. So I've just pulled the husk off here. We are gonna leave this part on so it's like a handle. And we're gonna cut off the tip right here. So there's something for it to stabilize. This is going to get everywhere, but I don't think there's a way around that. Okay, now let's head over to the stove and cook this up. So we have some water that's been boiling here. It's been salted, and now we're just going to add our green beans in there. Whoops. We're just gonna boil these for about 5 minutes. You'll see that the color turns like a very rich green. That's how you know when they're done. Okay, so these have been cooking for about 6 minutes. Now we're just going to take them over to the sink and strain them. So you'll see these still have a nice bright green color, not like the green beans from the can, and they have a nice al dente texture. Okay, now to finish up our green beans, we're just going to toss them with a little bit of garlic oil and lemon. So here we have about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic oil. And we're just going to use the other half of our lemon. Now we're going to add the rest of our parsley. You could really use any herbs that you like. I just think parsley and green onion go really well with green beans. A little salt and pepper. Again, salt and pepper is always to your taste. But I would say don't be shy with the salt. I feel like when I cook a lot of things from scratch, it actually takes quite a bit of salt, but it's still less than processed food that you would normally be eating. We're gonna toss this up. Okay, let's plate some of this up. All right, now we're going to get started on our summer succotash. We're gonna start on high heat. We're gonna add a little bit of butter and about a tablespoon of garlic oil also. I really like mixing those. I think it gives the best flavor overall, and it actually doesn't burn as easily as putting the butter by itself or the garlic oil. If you're not eating dairy right now, you can totally just leave out the butter. Now that it's up to temperature, I'm gonna start by adding our bell pepper. I'm only going to add about 1/4 of a bell pepper because they do have a very strong and overpowering flavor. They don't have any FODMAP, so we don't need to be careful on that. These are the hardiest of our vegetables that we're cooking today. That's why we're starting with those first. Now that these have got some color to them, I'm going to add our zucchini. Traditionally, succotash is made with corn and lima beans, but I couldn't find any lima beans in the store, so we're gonna be using zucchini instead. We're gonna add 1/2 cup of zucchini. We're gonna make sure they're separated a bit and that they have contact with the pan so they get a nice browning. I think one of the coolest things about cooking vegetables is that you can eat them raw, so you don't have to worry about undercooking them. You do have to worry about overcooking them though. That's when they start to lose their flavor and their texture. Okay, I think now that these have gotten some browning on one side, give them a quick stir. We're going to add our corn. This is the entire cob of corn. Turn the heat down just a little bit. Woo! We're also going to add 6 cherry tomatoes and a nice pinch of green onion. And a little salt and pepper. You could also add paprika here, but I choose not to because we already have the bell peppers in there, which is gonna give you the same flavor. Okay, so we're just gonna cook this for a couple minutes. Bacon would be another delicious addition to this dish. If you wanted to cut it up into pieces and then start with the bacon in the pan before you add the bell peppers, that would be amazing. If you wanted to add the bacon when the bell peppers are almost cooked enough. Let's give our corn a little taste test. It's nice and warm, it's cooked all the way through. Our tomatoes are starting to blister a little bit, so this is done. Okay, now we're gonna go straight into cooking our squash and zucchini. We're gonna start the same way by adding some butter and garlic oil. Again, you can totally omit the butter if you're not eating dairy at the moment. So we've added enough squash and zucchini to our pan to cover the bottom. We don't want to have more than one layer because they're going to cook by touching the bottom of the pan. I do think it needs a little bit more oil. I'm going to add that. Okay, so we've also added a pinch of parsley, green onion, salt and pepper. Stirred it up, and now we're just going to let it sit there, which is the key to cooking good squash and zucchini. If you keep stirring it too much, it won't get that brown caramelizing on one side, and then they'll all just get mushy. I made this dish for a friend recently, and she couldn't believe that I only added salt and pepper and some fresh herbs. She's kind of a picky eater, and she couldn't believe that she liked the squash and the zucchini so much, just with the flavor of how it is. Okay, these have been cooking for about 5 minutes. Just give them a stir, and look at that beautiful color on the other side. See, that's why you don't want to stir them all the time. Just let them cook. Okay, now they're done. All right, here we have 4 low FODMAP summer vegetable dishes. For our green beans, the low FODMAP serving size is going to be 15 beans or 2.65 ounces. If you have a food scale, it's really going to come in handy. So for our succotash, the serving size is going to be 1/4 of the dish that we made. And then for our zucchini and squash, the serving size is going to be about 1/2 cup. And then the best part for this cucumber yogurt salad is that it is completely FODMAP free. You can have as much of it as you would like. Let's taste them. Missed my mouth. That's really good, but I think you could use a tiny bit more salt. Again, salt is very, very personal thing. Okay, for our succotash. It's nice and sweet from the corn, and it has a good bell pepper flavor. It's very robust. Cooked to perfection. It's nice and caramelized on one side, a little crispy, and then it's cooked all the way through, but not mushy. That is what you want out of zucchini and squash. I think this one's my favorite. You guys just know I love dill. This is gonna go great with any Mediterranean dish that you wanna make. All right, guys, there you have it. 4 low FODMAP summer vegetable dishes without much time or effort. We didn't time it, but it doesn't take more than 15 minutes to put any one of these dishes together. All right, guys, well, I hope you found this video useful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to tag me in your Instagram post if you make this recipe. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.